Today we're going to be looking at Naviate Architecture and Accelerate and how you can simplify document management within Revit utilizing both Naviate Architecture and Accelerate. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Shira Ehrlich and I will be your presenter for today's webinar. I am the Naviate Accelerate product owner and have a background in architecture. I studied architecture. I worked at many architectural firms as a BIM manager, and like many of you out there, I started to get a little frustrated with the mundane tasks in Revit. So I began dabbling in Dynamo and teaching myself Dynamo and automating some of those tasks before I decided to come and join the Naviate product development team to help create products to help you and others like you work smarter in Revit. So if you don't know, some really exciting news from literally this week is that Microdesk has now become Symmetry. So back last year of March of 2022, Microdesk was acquired by Adnode Group, the owners of Symmetry, Europe's leading provider of software and services for design and engineering activities. And as of this week, we are officially Symmetry USA. And together, Microdesk and Symmetry comprise of more than 750 consultants working across 35 offices in 7 different countries, serving more than 20,000 customers and 250,000 daily users across the US and Europe. So that's some really exciting news. And if you haven't heard about it, or if you want to learn more about it, you can definitely check out our website and you can learn all about what has been done, and that now we are called Symmetry. Same great organization, just a new name. So let's get started with today's webinar on Naviate. So for those of you who don't know Naviate, Naviate is a technology ecosystem which enables architects and engineers to focus on valuable work. It is fully integrated within Revit and other platforms, and it maximizes productivity and reduces risks throughout the cultivation of knowledge, workflow optimization, and business continuity. So with Naviate, we always say that we are one product line for all trades and one team that you can work with, one solution to streamline your workflows, and like I mentioned before, one ecosystem for your Autodesk products. And Naviate as an entire brand is actually composed of 3 different branches. We have our Naviate for Revit products, our Naviate for Cloud products, which is for both BIM 360 and the Autodesk Construction Cloud, ACC, as well as Naviate for Civil 3D. Today, however, we're going to focus on our Naviate for Revit products. And within our Naviate for Revit portfolio, we are really focused within the US on these products, which is Naviate Accelerate, our product for all, and then our discipline-specific products, which is Naviate Architecture, Structure, MEP, Fabrication, as well as our cloud-based product, which is our Naviate Cloud Manager. Now, Naviate, like myself, is comprised of many individuals, from our developers to our product owners and managers that come from the industry. We are architects and engineers building products for architects and engineers. So it is really a suite of products developed by AEC professionals like myself for AEC professionals like yourselves. And in today's presentation, because I'm an architect, we're going to focus on Naviate Architecture, which comes with Accelerate. So both products packaged up in one. And we're going to look at how Naviate streamlines project setup, data management, modeling, and documentation. So as a whole, Naviate is focused on the entire BIM project lifecycle within Revit and has commands and features, as we've seen throughout this webinar series, that target project setup, data management, modeling, and today we're going to look at document management. So for today's webinar, which is the final webinar that's part of this Naviate Architecture webinar series, we're going to look specifically at the document management and documentation features across both Naviate Accelerate and Architecture. And of course, we're going to look at it through the lens of an architect. So within the webinar, we're going to focus on 5 different workflows for documentation and document management. The first one being tagging. We're going to look at Naviate Accelerate's tagging features, allowing us to tag multiple views at one time without having to open a single view. Then we're going to look at creating some of our more detailed drawings, our enlarged room drawings, as well as our door and window legends. Then once our drawings are created and documented, we're going to switch over to document management with our revision manager and managing all our revisions on Sheet. Then we're going to, now that our sheets have been created, those revisions are added, we're going to want to get them exported out to multiple file types, and how easy that is to do with Naviate's publish features. And lastly, we're going to focus back from multiple file types back to Revit with getting our models cleaned up, packaged up, and exported out. So let's start with those tagging features. Now, in Revit out of the box, tagging is probably one of the most mundane tasks and repetitive tasks that we're doing. We have to tag multiple views, hundreds, if not thousands of elements in these views. And in order to do that, we have to open up every single view, which depending on your file size alone could take a significant amount of time, and then getting them all tagged. And this is unfortunately a process that we have to do. Now, Naviate makes this a whole lot easier because we can create special settings for tagging different categories with multiple tags. And then we can set it up to tag all our views without having to open a single view. So this makes tagging our views a streamlined process that is faster and easier than using the out-of-the-box Revit method. So let's take a look at that. Here I have my views on my sheets, and these are the views that I want to tag. So I'm going to utilize Naviate Accelerate's Manage Sheets and Views tab, where we have our tagging features. We have 3 tagging features, and we're going to start with our tag settings. This is where we can create custom configurations and load different configurations in for the different categories within our project. In these different configurations, I can select multiple tag symbols, specify a location relative to an element, and then offsets relative to that location. I have other settings like specifying the default and the orientation. I can also group these different configurations for all the different view types in my project, or these groupings can be customized to whatever you need. I just personally like to do it by view type. Now, I can still tag elements in this tag configuration, and this is really used so that I can make sure that my offsets and my location and that everything looks right in the way I want it to look on my view. So once that is set up though, and I save my settings, I'm gonna either want to use my tag select or tag all. Let's look at tag select. We have 2 options here. Tag select or tag select linked elements. Tag select will allow us to tag the elements in our model based off of the defaults we specify in those tag settings. So in seconds, I've tagged all the categories I want tagged with multiple symbols and located with offsets exactly where I want them to be. But as I promised before, I want to tag all my views without having to open a single view, right? So this is going to use our tag all feature. This is going to allow me to either select those individual tag configurations or those groups for the different view types we created earlier in our tag settings. Then I can use the UI to filter and find all the sheets or all the views on the sheets, if those are the views I want tagged, in my project. So here I'm going to filter to find the views on the sheets that I want tagged, and then simply select all the views and hit add tags. And this is going to go through and essentially in the background, open all the views, tag them all for me, and do it all behind the scenes. So we can see here now how many tags were placed. You can see at this point, hundreds of tags on this very simple model. And there we go. My views are tagged. We can see that on this sheet. And then even if we open another sheet, we can see that all the views were tagged, all the elements that I wanted tagged were tagged with the tags in the location I want them to be. So this is really going to make tagging our views so much faster and easier. in our project. So now that we looked at tagging elements, let's look at generating some more complicated documentation. We're going to look specifically at creating enlarged room drawings and creating our legend sheets. Now, in out-of-the-box Revit, this would be the process of manually having to identify the elements that I want to create these drawings for, creating all the views myself, whether that be RCPs, elevations, floor plans, schedules, and creating the sheets for them and then placing all the views on the sheets. So this is a lot of manual work that needs to be done that Naviate takes care for us. It creates all the views for us, creates all the sheets, and places them on the sheet for us. So let's take a look first and foremost at creating those enlarged room drawings. Now I have my detailed apartment right here. It's all designed out and I want to create enlarged room drawings for this particular apartment. So in Naviate Architecture, specifically, we have our room drawings feature. This room drawing feature will enable us to select exactly which rooms we want to create these room drawings for. You can see that the tree allows us to select the rooms by level. I can filter to find a particular room, but I can simply also just select in the UI which rooms I want to create these enlarged room drawings for. It will even show me at the bottom how many rooms I have checked, and then I can go in and specify all the details I need, from the view types and the templates to how many elevations I want and how those elevations are cropped, to the type or template of my floor plans, same for my RCPs, as well as I want to include an axon. And I can choose to uncheck all of that. And then I can specify the sheets, what template to, what title block to use, what sheet number to start with, and how I want it organized in my project browser. And all of this is customizable and savable to the project to use over and over again. And once I hit that button, it's going to do the work for me. It's going to generate a sheet per room. It's going to create that floor plan, RCP, and all the elevations, and then place them all on the sheets. So we can see that they were generated right there in the project browser. You can simply select to open it, and we can see that all those drawings per room are organized there. So this makes it so much easier to generate these drawings. Then I can go back and document it, maybe using my tagging features or using out-of-the-box method. So now that we created our enlarged room drawings, let's look at these door and window legends that we need created. Now, these have two features to choose from, either door drawings or door drawings by legend. I'm going to show you how to use the door drawings feature. What sets this apart from the door legends is the door legends is actually creating legend views, whereas the door drawings is creating floor plans and elevations of the different door types in the project. So we can see we can either select all door types in the project, all individual doors, or even utilize a schedule to filter which types we want to create legends for. Then, just like in the room drawings, I can specify the template and type of elevation. I can choose to create dimensions on my elevations, the template and type for the plans, the tags for my plans, and creating a schedule, as well as all those same sheet properties, like the title block and how I want to lay out those views on the sheet. And then Naviate will do the work. It will create the sheet, create the views, tag my floor plans, dimension my elevations, create the schedules, and place them all on the sheet, organized the way I specified them to be organized. So there we have it. We have our door legend sheet created, all organized beautifully. I can zoom in to take a look at how it was dimensioned. So we can see those elevations were created and dimensioned. Our floor plans were created and tagged. Our schedules were generated to see how many of these door types are on each level. And we have the same thing if you look at the top toolbar for windows as well. Just one creates it for the door category and one creates it for the window category. But you have both options and they both will allow you to create your legend sheets for either doors or windows. So this is going to save you a lot of time generating these more detailed sheets for your project. So we created our sheets, we tagged them. Now let's look at how to manage your revisions. Now in Revit, only in 2023, we are able to add revisions to multiple sheets at a time, but With the Revision Manager, we're able to do that and so much more. From being able to filter to find sheets, to selecting sheets easily and modifying revisions or adding revisions and removing revisions, to creating print sets of revised sheets, and also the ability to utilize Excel to make it faster and easier to modify your revisions. So let's take a look at how Naviate's Revision Manager does that for us. So this is going to, again, bring us to Naviate Accelerate's Manage Sheets and Views tab. One thing to note is that we can pre-select our sheets in the project browser prior to running to the commands, and it will automatically select those sheets in the command as well. So once I have this command open, you'll see that those sheets that I pre-selected in my project browser are also selected in the UI. And what's nice about this tree view in the UI is it matches my project browser exactly, making it easy to find the sheets I need. Then I can go into edit my revisions, which not only allows me to add or remove revisions, but also modify the properties of each revision in Revit, from the numbering to the date, to if it's issued, to the description, and much more. We can also create new revisions if needed, and then select which revisions we want added to the sheets that we've selected in this UI. And just like that, it adds the revision to the sheet. And we can also take a look at, instead of pre-selecting these sheets in the project browser, how easy it is to find other sheets because it mimics the organization of the project browser. So we can easily find other sheets and simply add revisions to them as well. Now, there is other functionality that you can see on the left-hand side of the UI, like being able to create a print set of some of my selected sheets. And we make it really easy to filter by different properties like the revision and the title block, so that you can find the sheets that you want to include in this print set and then simply create a Revit print set out of it. Then you can just use Revit's out-of-the-box exporting features to get these drawings exported out. Or in the next workflow, I'm going to show you how to use Naviate's features to do that as well. Lastly, I'm going to show you how we can utilize Excel to round-trip revision changes back into the Revit model. So here, I'm going to be able to export all of this information out to a neatly organized revision schedule. Once I open that schedule up in Excel, I'm able to see it and then also use Excel to quickly make any modifications to my revisions, whether that be because I don't want to open Revit as a maybe project manager. I just want to do it in Excel. Somebody can export it out, give it to that project manager. They can make the changes, import it back in, and all of those revisions get updated. So there we have it. That is the Naviate Revision Manager, making it so much easier to manage and modify revisions on sheets within Revit. We can even see once we open our sheet that those are listed in that title block revision schedule. So now that we've added our revisions, we want to get these drawings exported out. I mean, I showed you how to create a print set, but now let's look at exporting multiple files out in one transaction. Because in Revit, you would have to do each file type individually. So the first thing I actually want to show you before we get into multiple file type is quickly exporting to PDF or printing. The quick PDF export feature is a really nice feature that also works on pre-selection like we saw with the Revision Manager. I can pre-select any viewer sheet in my project browser and then quickly get those exported out. So it's kind of like an ad hoc way of getting these views or sheets exported to a PDF so that I can just see them in that format. I can send them to a project manager or a consultant for review and get this done while I'm working really quickly, being able to see them in that project browser. So we can see that that was quickly exported out, and now I can hand this off to somebody else to review those PDFs. This is really something that is a quick and easy way to get these files exported out. But now that we just looked at exporting PDFs, let's look at also exporting multiple file types at one time with our publish feature. As you can see, the publish feature allows me to print, do a DWG export, IFC export, NWC export, or PDF export. And I can create different configurations or settings for each of these export types. And once I name them how I want to, I can set up settings for each of these file types. Now, these settings not only allow me to select the settings of export, but I can choose which print set to use. But what's even nicer is the ability to use either a sheet list or a parameter to specify the sheets being exported. Because this is parametric. I mean, as you know with Revit, sheet sets, if you add a new sheet to your project, you have to go to that sheet set and also add it in that sheet set. So if I'm utilizing a schedule, I can have that be more parametric with it being automatically added to the schedule when I create new sheets. Then I can specify other things like a naming convention when exporting to allow me to name these sheets exactly how I want them, either using project information parameters or sheet parameters, and I can customize it by adding a prefix or a suffix. I'm going to do the same exact thing for my export DWG, just showing you the versatility and how much settings you can specify for each of these different file types. Now, because I want to export to Bluebeam and to export my DWGs with the same naming convention, I'm just going to copy what I did there. I'm going to show you how we can also add other export types like IFC, NWC, and PDF all within these settings. And then I can save these settings to my project, as well as saving what exports I want to do at a given time. So in this case, let's say that we just want to export to Bluebeam and we want to export to DWG. I can have all my other export types set up, but in this case, I just want those two being export at this given moment. So I can specify a common folder location in case they had different folder locations in the individual settings, and then simply get this exported out. I mean, this might take a little bit longer in reality, but because I don't have to come back and check and export multiple file types, I can go and get coffee and let this run, and it's going to export all those file types for me. And here we go, we can see that both the DWGs and those Bluebeam PDFs were exported out, named exactly the same, making it really easy to organize them and see them and get these files to the consultants or the project manager that needs them. So the last workflow I want to show you is with the Revit model itself. Instead of exporting multiple file types, sometimes, we need to just export a copy of the Revit model. And not just export a copy of the Revit model, but have that export cleaned up to not include certain things that we don't want to send to our consultants. And this is what the next feature is going to show you. So with Naviate Accelerate's Manage Projects, we can actually clean up the Revit model. Now, this is kind of similar to Revit's e-transmit feature if you've ever used it, except it has different settings and different options that we can use. First thing we want to do is save the model, and then we can run the project cleanup, which allows us to clean up either the current model or save it as a copy. Now, what sets us apart is that I can have the model open while running the command, which I can't do with the e-transmit feature, and I have so many more options. I can delete model views, delete sheets, delete revisions, delete schedules and exports, remove Revit links, CAD links, and CAD imports, delete areas and area boundary lines, delete unused scope boxes, unused view filters, images, unused view templates, and I can purge unused all in one action. Once I hit cleanup, it'll either clean up my current project, or in this case, I'm doing it to save a copy of the model. So it's going to save a copy and then clean up that copy of the model. So this feature is really great to also just keep my own model clean if I wanted to run it on the current model. So let's go ahead and open up that cleaned up version, and I can show you what was cleaned up and how that feature was able to clean up my Revit model that I can then send more easily to a consultant, because the file size shrunk. So we can see that all the views except the views that I had set up as coordination views were deleted. All of my sheets were deleted as well as my legends and my schedules. Also, no Revit links were included because that's what I've specified. But of course, all of my model content is there. We can also look at Naviate's CAD tracker to see if there's any CAD links in the model, which there aren't. So it did its job. It cleaned up the model the way I needed it to be cleaned up. And now I can send this to the consultants without having to worry that they're getting information I don't want them to get. So that concludes all the workflows that I wanted to show you today for Naviate Architecture and Accelerate's document management. Just going to reiterate, we looked at how Naviate allows us to tag all views at one time with customized tagging settings. We looked at how to create more detailed drawings like our enlarged room drawings and our door and window legends. We looked at how to easily manage our revisions, adding multiple revisions to sheets and utilizing Excel to speed up that process even further. We then exported multiple file types like DWG, IFC, NWC, and PDF out of the Revit model for our views and sheets. And lastly, we looked at cleaning up the Revit model and getting that saved as a copy. And there is so much more across both Naviate Architecture and Accelerate that I didn't get to show you, including features for project setup, data management, and documentation, that you can check out the previous webinars that we gave to see workflows on those 3 other topics. Now, speaking of workflows, our goal is really workflow optimization. And a lot of the things that we develop with Naviate is based on industry requirements and user feedback. So please feel free to continue to provide that feedback so we can improve the products specific for you. We have over 100 tools that allow you to save time, assure quality, and drive an increase of efficiency. And one of our big goals is to safeguard everyone's well-being, increase your job satisfaction so that you can spend less time on these repetitive tasks and instead being able to focus on different things like creativity and innovation. And we are trusted by many professionals like yourselves. We have over 15,000 downloads across over 50 countries with over 50 users across all of our Naviate products. And so that concludes our webinar series for Naviate Architecture. We looked at project setup, we looked at data management, we looked at documentation, and now we are going to continue with other webinars that probably are geared towards maybe what's new. We have a new release coming out very soon, so stay tuned for a webinar on what's new with the new release of Naviate 2023, as well as we're gearing up to release Naviate 2024 as well. So for those of you who are looking at upgrading to Revit 2024, Naviate for Revit 2024 is coming out very soon. And I do always like to remind you that Naviate is more than just a product. We really are an entire community, and we have our own license portal, which is also brand new or has been updated to include a dashboard and more user-friendly experience. We have our blog and our ideation portal, our community and our help desk, and our e-learning platform. With Symmetry's license portal, you can manage all your licenses easily. You can follow the Naviate blog for tips and workflows for your Naviate solutions. In the ideation portal, you can add your ideas or see other ideas. We want Naviate to be for users by users. You can connect and interact with other Naviate users in the Naviate community. Our help desk, you can see product instructional videos and documents. With Pinnacle's e-learning platform, you can find all guides on how to get started with Naviate, including learning paths so that you can have self-guided paths to learn on your own when you have time. And you can check out all of this and more on the Naviate website. Also, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, especially YouTube and LinkedIn. We post there constantly with any new videos that are created, any webinars that we give across the globe. So if you want to stay up to date with that information, definitely subscribe or follow or connect, depending on which platform you're on. If you do have any questions, please feel free to add them in the GoToWebinar questions dialogue, and I'd be happy to answer any of them. I'll give you a few minutes to add any questions and to see if you have any questions. Okay. If there are no questions, that's totally all right. If you do have any questions, please feel free to contact us anytime. We have our Microdesk support. You can contact us through our website, and there's many ways to get in contact with us. Thank you again, and I hope you got a chance to learn about how to use Naviate Architecture and Accelerate to work smarter.